Okay, it looks like we are live on my end. I think I'm just going to go into Discord really quick and just post, hey, it's time. Where did I post it? Right here. Okay, just a little thing in there. And so since this is my first time on this end of StreamYard, it's probably going to be a lot of just sort of, we'll see what happens and try and figure this out. Okay, so I guess we'll just start about what we're reading. Does anybody want to go first? Like if you know what you are going to be reading.
I'll go first. In the Choose Your Own Adventure, I chose the science division.
Okay.
So I got Read a Sci-Fi, which means that I picked Sleeping Giants because it's a fairly small book, and I only have about 100 pages left in that. So I will be reading that for this morning, and then if I finish up that, I'm going to choose my crew member and get my next prompt. So it might be kind of fun to do that live.
Yeah, how are you feeling about the Sleeping Giants so far? Because that's one that I definitely want to read, but I haven't yet.
It took a different direction than I thought it would. I was also listening to the audiobook, and it does kind of like what Illuminae does, right? Where it's like a different sort of dialogue than a normal book. So it'll have like an interview format. So it'll have a question and then an answer. So they have different voice actors for who's asking the question and who's answering the question.
Oh, okay, so you're doing the audiobook.
Right, yeah. Well, I won't be this morning. I'm just going to finish up the last couple of pages with my eyeballs. But yeah, so it's very interesting to hear it done like that. And I'm not sure if I liked it that way or not. I'm indecisive. The voice actors did a good job, but it's almost like they were reading from a script. So it was a little stiff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as plot goes, it's a little bit more like politically and military centric than I thought it would be.
Okay.
And I'm curious to see where it goes for the next couple books. So.
Okay, well that's pretty good. Yeah, I actually own the entire series of Sleeping Giants.
I do
too. And have not read them yet. But I mean, the hardcovers are gorgeous. So
yeah, they are really pretty. I also like the UK covers.
No, they have some really good covers.
Yeah.
I read the first one of that one, Sleeping Giants, and I really want to keep going with it. Yeah, I listened to it on audio, and I really liked the audio. I thought it like really added because you could hear all the different people. I liked the like pilot chick, her like sarcastic attitude. Yes, Kara.
Yeah.
I really liked her. I was like, yeah,
she's sassy.
She's very sassy.
I do like audiobooks that have multiple voice actors a lot. I haven't gotten into audiobooks really until like this year because I'm hit or miss with them. And so I always was just like, oh, I can't do them. But I've started using my Hoopla app for my library. And there's been some audiobooks where I'm like, okay, I can do this. This is really good. I'll just like put them in while I'm playing with Presley. We were doing Cars yesterday and I was listening to a book. And so, yeah, I think when they have multiple voice actors, it's usually pretty good.
I think my favorite, not to derail, but I think my favorite audiobook of all time has to be either Project Hail Mary or The Martian. The way that they do Andy Weir's books are just like top. And especially Project Hail Mary, there's like a part of it where you like need audio. Like you can't read it with your eyes. It's more of a listening experience. So
that's
highly recommend it.
I haven't read any Andy Weir, but I've been really wanting to. I've seen The Martian, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's good to know, like, that the audiobooks are good. Because you always kind of wonder, because some fantasy and sci-fi, like, are really hard to follow in audio.
Yeah.
At least I find that. Like, I get lost in the characters. I'm like, wait, which character is this? Like, I can't fully piece it together. So, good to know that that's, like, a good one to pick up.
Yeah, I find that with fantasy a lot, like, when they're doing the world building.
What else are you guys reading this morning?
I'm reading Welcome to Night Vale.
Oh, right. I did remember you were saying that.
Yeah.
I read the first one.
Yeah, I'm on my third round. So this is my alien prompt. I got.
Okay.
I did. Oh gosh, what the rock one?
A Horda.
The rock alien. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the prompt was to read a non-human character, And so this has like a shapeshifter kid in here, and they say like ghosts and aliens and stuff are just common in the world and stuff. So I was like, I feel like that'll work. And this is for Buzzwordathon too, because it has night in the title. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
what I wanted to read for that. So I was like, perfect. I can
No, that's great.
But
I love it when you can hit two readathons with one book.
Yeah. So I've read like a chapter so far.
Okay.
I'm not really into it very much yet, but just met the like pawn shop lady, and kind of we just talked about her, and I was like, this is definitely strange. Like I knew it was going to be kind of strange, but I was like these people go into a pawn shop and then she offers them $11 and then they die and then come back to life and like leave their stuff. I was like, what? So definitely a little weird, but
Have you ever listened to the podcast for
That
this?
was going to be my question too.
Oh, okay. Then you're in for a ride.
Yeah, it's
I don't know who recommended this, but I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. And I figured it'd be a little bit like funny and light, it sounded like. So I don't know.
I mean, I do think it is still funny. Like I actually used to listen to the podcast of that when I worked in the receiving area in a Barnes and Noble. So I would work in the back with all the boxes and like unpack the books, and I would just like listen to that podcast. And I don't think you have to know the podcast to get into the books, which is good. And the books are all technically companion novels. So like there's 3 of them total. And I've only ever read the first one, but I did really like it, although I don't remember anything about it.
I hate when
We have
that
a couple
happens.
people
Like, you're
in
just
chat.
like, loved it, but I have no idea what it was even about anymore. Like,
yeah,
brain.
I do that quite often. So like if I start a series, I almost always have to reread like whatever I started if it's been a couple years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm excited to see what you think about that as we go. We do have some people in chat, like Miro said. So Chelsea is reading The Hate You Give for Uhura, which is for a Black author. I have not read that one yet. I feel bad about it because I do own the book, but I have not read it yet.
It's a good one. Definitely a really good one. I got that prompt too. I chose Uhura.
I didn't get Uhura. Just I know what everything is, but like I definitely ended up reading a book that could have fit for this, for my person anyway, which was Spock, which is from multiple points of view. But I ended up reading one of the good ones, which I'm a little bit mixed on it. Like I just finished it yesterday. Like I liked some of what was happening in it, but it started off so slow. And then there is a twist sort of thing near the end. And like once I got, no, not near the end, but like later in the book. And once I got there, I was like, okay, I'm really invested now. But with everything that happened at the beginning, I don't know what I should rate it. Like I'm so torn on like some of the stuff like that. But yeah, that happens. But I need to read this one. I need to read The Hate You Give. Okay, and then I guess we're on me now. So I did my alien prompt, or I got to my alien prompt last night. And like I said before, I did this, so I know what all the prompts are. And I originally was going to just try and pick an alien that was like nobody was really picking. But when I put the poll up in the Discord yesterday, I didn't really have too many people picking things on there. And so I was like, I really don't know where everybody's standing. So I did a random number generator and it gave me the Horda. So I posted a poll on Instagram with 4 different books that have non-human characters. And I have not checked it to see which I'm supposed to be reading, which is what I was trying to look up earlier. Okay, they have said Secret Vampire by L.J. Smith, which is this one here. A nice old cover. This is like from the 1990s.
Oh, you gotta love those covers.
I do actually. I bought the whole series in these covers off of I think eBay or something, just because of the fact that I love the covers. I've never read the series. It's never going to be finished. Apparently, she never finished it.
Bummer.
Yeah, but we're going to do it anyway. So it's only a couple hundred pages, which I thought was good.
Yeah, sounds
our
too bad.
weekends can get crazy around here, so figured at least this way I can guarantee I'm going to finish it. Chelsea said that she has also read The Lost Hero for Operations. Okay, yeah, that's one of the Percy Jackson, but not like the first series of Percy Jackson, the spin-off series. I liked those ones.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read any of that. I want to. I enjoyed the Percy Jackson, like the first movie when I was a kid, but I
and they're nothing like the books.
They're nothing
and so,
like the movies.
A lot of people that liked the books hated the movies. Like, I don't think they were horrible, but they just the characters were so aged up already that they had to change some stuff around. Like, I think they were supposed to be 11 in the first book / movie, but they looked like 15. So yeah.
Makes sense. I didn't like I think the second and third movies were kind of like, they weren't.
I don't even remember if I watched the second one or anything like that, but I do remember watching the first one. And I'm very excited for, like, there's going to be a TV show on, I think, Disney Plus, and I think they're trying to get, like, actually, like, age appropriate characters, and I'm excited to see how that's going to go.
Yeah. Might be a little more age appropriate TV show too if Disney's doing it. Like,
yeah, I don't think anything in the books was not age appropriate, but it's definitely based on Greek mythology, so there is some stuff in there that's a little bit, like, it could be bad, but time to write fan fiction. What fan fiction would you be writing? Unless I missed something. I might have. I love fan fiction too, though, although sometimes I feel like I don't have enough time for it because I'm reading books for my channel. You know what I mean? Like, gotta have books for content. Although I think there's some people that do, like, oh, I'm gonna read fan fiction and then I'll talk about it on my channel, which is probably a good thing to do too.
Do like a whole fan fiction vlog, just a one-off.
No, that is true. I have, like, so many, like, fan fictions saved.
Oh, I see. You're writing fan fiction for the series that isn't finished.
No, that makes sense. I haven't finished this yet, or even started it really, but that's one of those things. I think it's been like 15 years or something since the last book of that series, of this one. And that's actually part of the reason that I found these series is people were complaining sometime last year about how they're never going to get the series finished. And people are like, oh, is it this one? Is it the Night World series? And everybody's like, yeah.
No, the author's still alive?
As far as I know, yeah. I don't know if it was just something like it wasn't as profitable or writer's block or something, but apparently she's still fine. And I think she had mentioned, like, there was something on Goodreads in like 2015 or something of like, oh yeah, the last book is gonna come out, and it never has. So I know what I'm getting into, at least. Like, I know it will probably never be finished. But no, fan fiction, I'm sure there's probably fan fiction out there that people have read.
Yeah.
Like,
if enough people are disgruntled that it didn't wrap up.
Oh, I'm sure there is. But yeah, I think that would be something to at least look into potentially. Okay, so are we ready to read then?
I think so.
I mean, I'm assuming that's what we're here for, right? So I think we're going to do 20 minutes at a time. So that means on my end, it is looking like it's 9:13. So we'll come back at 9:33.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, everyone, we are at 9:33. I did not even bring a bookmark with me, so I'm just grabbing something off of my desk, which is a mess. I'm glad you guys can't see it. Okay, so I think we're just going to talk a little bit about how we're doing so far. Same thing with you guys in the comments. How did you like your reading today? Where did you get to? What book are you reading? If you just joined us before we were talking about this earlier. So I guess I'll go first since I'm already talking. So we did start, it's backwards, Secret Vampire. And this one was written like copyright 1996. And so I do find it a little bit funny that way because at one point, one of the characters had to dial up to the internet. And I'm just like, yes. I remember that. We definitely had to do that. And otherwise, so far, so good. It's just basically our main character of Poppy being sick. It says on the back, like, she, the pain was something Poppy couldn't ignore. The diagnosis was death. And then I guess the other guy is probably a vampire because it's called Secret Vampire. And we just got to a part where there's werewolves and stuff too. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I just thought it was sort of funny that some of the stuff you can definitely tell it was written in the 90s.
I love when books date themselves like that.
Yeah, they also mentioned like a certain car, and I've never heard of that. So it's probably like a car that doesn't even get made anymore. It's like an Integra or something. And I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't mind the dial-up thing because I feel like most people didn't realize we were not going to have dial-up eventually. But yeah, I think a lot of the books that have stuff coming out nowadays, like I hope authors try not to like put certain like TikTok and things like that in them because like you never know how long something's going to go on for, and if it's only a few years where it's really, really popular, it's going to date the book very, very seriously. I think there was something that I heard or read that like some of the authors tried it. As long as something's been going on for like more than 5 years or something, you can potentially put it in your book and not have to worry about the dating stuff, like the book being dated. But yeah, so it was something like that. I can't fully remember. But yeah, if it's something that just started happening and then like you put it in your book and 2 years later it's gone, well.
Yeah. So many things to think about when you're an author and like sometimes I get lost thinking about that when I'm reading a book. I'm like, did they like think this through? Or like how did they even come up with that? Or
right.
I don't know. Lots of thoughts.
There's not much to discuss on my end because of spoilers, but I managed to get 20 pages done, and it's, you know, kind of coming to the climax, the end of the book, so I'm excited to get my next prompt. What about you, Heather?
I finished almost 2 more chapters. And so in the first chapter, we just met the pawn shop owner, and so now we've met Diane and her son and had a little bit there. I think like the more I'm reading, the more I'm kind of getting used to the writing style because it is kind of a different kind of illogical, nonsensical kind of writing, which I can like quite a bit in a book. It just depends on how it's done. So far I'm enjoying that and just kind of like trying to like read between the lines kind of a thing and some of the things that are said and how it's said, but I'm enjoying it so far. We're just kind of getting introduced into the story, really.
Yeah. Yeah, getting introduced sometimes takes a little bit to like actually know where you're going. Okay. Endless TBR says they just got back from a coffee outing. That sounds good. A caramel latte. Yeah, that's what this is. Coffee here. I live in Arizona, and so if I do any sort of streaming, so this is my first like reading sprints, but I do video game streams sometimes. I always do them at like 9 a.m. because then my husband can take my kid to the grocery store. And so I always have a coffee when I'm doing this stuff because I need it.
Yep, I'm over here with tea too.
Coffee is life. I forgot my coffee in the other room, but I pretty much finished my cup, so it's okay.
Well, yeah, at least you basically finished it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the Book Bella says they are finishing or trying to finish The Bridge Kingdom on audio. I've heard that one about that one more and more like on Instagram and stuff because that's like I think a self-published one if I'm not mistaken. and you're trying to finish it because you're so close. Do you actually like it? Is this something that you're enjoying right now? I think it's like a fantasy romance. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it looks like Elise Kova blurbed it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I had first heard of it, I think, in February because I followed like the fantasy romance Instagram that like started in February for like, it was sort of like a readathon type of thing. And not all fantasy romance is self-published. Like they had some ones that were traditionally published as well, but quite a lot of them were self-published because it seems to be a very popular like specific genre for a lot of self-published people that do romance. They do like half fantasy, half romance, and it's like really ingrained in there.
Nice.
I just went and looked on Goodreads just to like try and. It sounded familiar, but I was like, I don't think I've heard of it. I definitely have it marked "want to read" on there. Like, okay.
I mean, apparently I have it more and more, like on Instagram and stuff. I've seen a lot more like people picking it up at least, but I haven't heard much about it. And then Endless TBR is reading "Seek You" by Kristen. I'm probably going to pronounce that horribly wrong. Radke, a graphic memoir on loneliness in the U.S. Okay, so this is probably like a graphic novel, but also a memoir. I'm not the best at reading nonfiction, but I feel like that would be a genre I could read because it wouldn't be like a whole novel or I guess not a novel if it's nonfiction, but you know what I mean, like a whole book on it. It'd be quicker to get through in case I decide I don't like that kind of stuff.
I'm interested in this
nonfiction
one.
reader either, but memoirs I think would be, if I'm going to read a nonfiction, like they seem like an avenue.
That's what it is for me as well. If it's a memoir, I'm more likely to like it, but like I only read maybe one nonfiction book a year. Like I'm so bad at that. But I feel like a graphic one I think I could get into. I have a couple on my e-reader that are like graphic memoir things or graphic history where it's in the nonfiction vein, but it's graphic, and I would like to try those eventually. Okay, not really, and I usually love fantasy romance, but the tone is light and the content is so serious. Yeah, so just that juxtaposition. Yeah. It's supposed to be more serious than the tone makes it out to be. Yeah, we have the... Yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't really heard too much like of how people like it lately, but I've definitely been seeing people pick it up more, which is why I was curious. But I guess, yeah, if you feel like it's supposed to be more serious, but it seems so lighthearted, I could feel a little bit like,
Kind of clashes.
Yeah. And then read nonfiction on audio. Feels like a long podcast. I guess that could be a good way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, like I mentioned before, don't do audio very often. And I feel like probably because I'm also a stay-at-home mom, and then with all the COVID stuff happening, we just don't really go anywhere. Like audio seems like something that would be really easy to do in the car. But we don't really get to do that anymore.
I listen to audiobooks primarily when I'm like folding laundry or cleaning the kitchen, like doing a chore with my hands. When I do it's kind of mindless. Audiobook all the way.
Yeah, I would say that's my number one way I listen to audiobooks is I'm doing dishes, cooking dinner, folding laundry, that kind of thing. I do listen to it in the car sometimes, but like if my daughter's in the car with me, I don't really want to listen to an audiobook. You know, she's gonna be like, "What are you listening to? Like, what is this?" And so I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess if your kid can like talk back to you in the car, like my kids too. I definitely listened to the Ice Planet Barbarian series in the car one time with my 2-year-old in the back. He doesn't know what's going on. My daughter's
6, so she'd probably know a little more of what was happening.
Yeah, she might catch on.
Oh yeah, we're at the point with him where he's starting, like he sort of knows what's going on, but like we even take him to like speech therapy appointments. Like he can't talk to me, he can't talk back. And right now the speech therapy appointments are like around nap time, so he actually falls asleep in the car. So I usually don't have to worry about it too much. Like he's not actually aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to do this for very much longer.
Yeah.
But no, I think during chores would be good. I'm not the main chore person in my house, so lucky that way. Okay. Free with the Audible monthly credit, both the first book and the second book. Well, that's good.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah, I don't have Audible so far, especially because I was never the biggest audiobook person. I'm currently getting into them with Hoopla, which is the library app stuff, so I don't have to pay for anything. And so maybe eventually when I'm more like, oh yeah, I will definitely read audiobooks. But
I read a lot of audiobooks, and I don't have Audible or anything, but I just use Hoopla and I use Libby from my library, and there's so many options between the two. I don't run out. So
yeah, I have Libby downloaded as well, but I haven't done that one yet just because I found stuff that I wanted to read on Hoopla, but I have them both ready to go. And so far, Hoopla has quite a few things that I'm like, okay. They also have comics and graphic novels, which I'm excited about too, because those ones can rack up money. One volume of like a bind up is like, at least $15.
Yeah.
And this way I can read them for free through my library. And I'm like, I like that.
I love my library apps. Love them.
Okay, and then The Book Recluse is reading The Name of All Things by Jen Lyons. Is that the first one in the series?
No, it's number 2.
Number 2. I'm like, I don't know much about this, but I've heard a lot about Jen Lyons, like that series. I have some people that I follow on BookTube and stuff that like love her books. And I know it's fantasy, I'm pretty sure. But I haven't gotten into it yet. So let us know.
Chat's making my TBR longer. I've never heard of any of these.
That's a problem I have anytime I go into like BookTube stuff, especially like these ones. Like everybody's reading stuff that I've never heard of, and now I'm like, but I want to.
Yep.
I'm always like looking things up. My Goodreads is out of control with all the stuff that I find.
Seriously, I think my want to read list on Goodreads is like a couple thousand because I'm just like add. Yeah. I have no control. I want to read all the books.
I think I'm in like the 700 or 800s.
Mine's 1,104.
You must have it up because I don't know my number.
Yep, I have it up.
I mean, if you want to go, so like my TBR, like my physical TBR over here and my ebook TBR on my phone is over 600 by itself. So my want to read list on Goodreads is everything, including things I have not purchased yet. So it's a lot.
Yep.
Okay, I think I just have trouble listening to romance on audiobooks. Those sex scenes blaring out of your car and people just stare. Yeah, that is one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I like that as much. But like, again, when my kid is sleeping, I don't really care. But
I was on a plane once, and there was an old lady who was reading on her iPad, but she had the font really big because, you're old, your eyes are, going.
Yeah, of course.
So she had really big font, but she was definitely reading some really steamy romance, and I could read it from like 2 rows back, and I was like, oh my God, lady, like really?
I mean, yeah, I think yeah, why not?
It was fantastic.
My grandma.
Good for her.
Yeah, right?
Can we hear my dog barking?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that means my husband's home right now or not, but he's going crazy. Yeah, my grandma, like her favorite genre of books to read was always like, she would call them bodice rippers. Because I mean, especially like back in the day, like probably like closer to like the 80s and stuff, it was always like those really sexy covers, and like some of them would literally have the guys start to like bodice ripping, so that's what she called them, bodice rippers. You don't hear that anymore.
I'm gonna start using that. I love it.
I love the term, but yeah, you don't hear that very much anymore.
That's cute.
And the Bone Witch trilogy is also free on Audible. That's one I want to read. Those are the ones by
I think those are on Hoopla.
If they are, I definitely. Well, Hoopla varies depending on.
I was going to say I don't know if it varies, depending on.
But it would be something I want to look up. Yeah. No, those ones sound really, really good. Oh, yeah, my husband is home. I heard the door. Okay, and then the book Recluse. Yeah, it is the second book. That's good. Hi, baby. Up. Come here. You want to say hi?
Guest appearance.
Hello.
Hi, Presley. Oh, you can't hear me. Duh, you're
No, he can't
in your
hear
headphones.
you. No, he can't hear you. But they just must have gotten home from some sort of grocery shopping, because that's usually what they do when I'm in here. And I didn't shut the door all the way. That's okay. I work at a library, so it is an odd day when I don't come home with a new book. Excuse me. And I'm in grad school, so there's no way I can read all the books I bring in. Yeah. When I worked at Barnes & Noble, I was always spending my money there. No, you can't touch the computer.
Man, if I worked in a library, they would fire me for the amount of books. Their library would be empty. They'd all be in my house.
Oh, yeah.
I just recently moved and got a new library card in the area that I'm in, and the limit is like 70 books or something.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, it seems astronomical, right? But I looked at my partner and I was like, you should get a card too, so we could get double that.
My library actually does not limit how many holds we have out.
Wow.
They're like whatever, unlimited. So I usually like am in the 30s. But that's between me and my daughter.
Yeah, that's not too crazy,
yeah.
I guess.
It's not too bad.
No, okay. He's trying to hit the like volume buttons on my headphones.
Crank us up. My library doesn't have any late fees, so that was new. I've never heard of them doing that. So
my library didn't during COVID times because of the weird way that they had to operate, but now they're back to normal stuff. So we do, but it's only like 10 cents a day or something like that. So it's not even like
so
it's not too crazy.
Anything crazy. Yeah.
The library by my house like temporarily closed during COVID stuff. And as far as I know, they haven't reopened back up yet. So, and they're like literally right down the street. So I haven't actually gone out to a library recently, which is why Hoopla is definitely coming in very, very well, like doing those audiobooks and graphic novel stuff. So we'll see if that, like what that one's going to do. But the last time I checked, they still weren't open. And then would never make a living working at a bookstore. My paycheck would be gone. Yeah, you at least for me, like when you worked at Barnes & Noble, you get a discount. I think I got like 30% off. And I heard after they had a new person take over, like who owned the company, it changed to 40% off for employees. Like I would never, like I was always bringing things home. I would buy so much stuff every time we get a paycheck. Oh, and Barnes & Noble, you also got your paycheck every Friday. So you didn't have to wait like the 2 weeks.
Oh, so weekly, yeah.
It was a weekly one. And so, yeah, I was always coming home with books. Like some of these books I have in here that I have not read yet are from like my first paycheck at Barnes & Noble because I just kept buying books.
I think that happens just anywhere you live or anywhere you work. I worked at Payless for years, and just like the amount of shoes I accumulated, I was just because we got a 50% off pair of shoes every month, and then we had 30% off otherwise. It was just like you'd see nice, like a good sale, and you'd be like, and it's 30% off. Why not? You know, like
yeah.
Yeah,
we have other people saying that they would definitely spend their paycheck. Yeah. Currently sending in my Barnes & Noble application. Yeah. I'm still friends with some of the people that work at my old Barnes & Noble, and they've actually like asked me previously, like, oh, do you want to come back? And I'm like, well, Presley's still, you know, too little. He's not in daycare or anything yet, but I'm like, you're tempting me with all these, like all the new benefits, I guess, because they were like, that was one of the managers was actually like, was the one was like, by the way, we get 40% now. I'm like, you're tempting me, but I've got a 2-year-old. What?
It's not always worth the cost of putting them in daycare to go back to work.
Well, and that's the thing is because I was working at Barnes & Noble like part-time. I was making like doing just enough hours like under full-time so that I wasn't full-time, but like you still got like certain benefits and stuff if you've been there long enough. But daycare out here would have been like my exact paycheck from Barnes and Noble. And so I was like, go back to work, even though I did love actually working there, or stay home with my kid and just not pay for daycare. Like, same exact amount of money.
And then you get more time with your kid, like, and you get to raise them instead of somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready for more reading?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking we'll do like another 20 minutes. That means I got to pull out my math skills. Is that 10, 13? Okay.
Yeah. Ready, set, go.
Yes. Okay, 10, 13. How would we do this time?
I'm literally 2 pages from the epilogue. I'm so close.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Oh my
very
goodness.
close.
It's exciting. How are you liking it?
It's good. I feel like I might need to jump right into the second book after this, so yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's prompts you can use. Not that I'm going to tell you what they are, but I'm actually at the point where I'm like, can I even remember what I wrote down myself? I don't know. There's probably something. I feel like there's quite a few prompts in general that work with a lot of books, but I'm actually not sure about the next one specifically.
That's okay. How are you guys doing?
Did you end up having like your husband choose which ones you were going to do, or did you just choose yourself?
No, so I chose for me personally I asked him if he wanted to, and he's like, I don't know what I would choose for you. He does this anytime I ask him, like, hey, do you want to like pick my TBR? And he's like, but what if you've already read it? And I'm like, dude, I have like a separate area for books, like, whatever. No, so I picked the science division because like if I was actually going to be in Starfleet, like do this for real, that's what I would choose. And then for the crew members, I picked Spock first because again, if I was doing this for real, that is what I would choose. I did do another crew member yesterday, and I picked that one because I knew what the prompt was. But like I did cheat first, and like I show everything in my vlog, like a little bit of like how I did my choices and like all that kind of stuff. And I technically hit the I'm gonna cheat button because it does give you a penalty in the story if you cheat, which you can make up as you go through stuff. But like I was like, okay, I know what the things are. So it's basically like I cheated in the first place. But I tried to pick things based on what I would want. But then I was like, I want to read this book and I know it fits this prompt, so I'm going to do that. And then, like I said at the very, very beginning of this live stream, for the alien one, I didn't know what to pick because I knew what the prompts were, but like I really just could not make a decision. So I did a random number generator. And so that's what I did for that one because I was just like, if you're going to be actually like in Starfleet or like going to a planet, you don't get to pick what you want. Like it would really just be random. And so I was like, maybe that's what I should do. So I tried to do it that way to at least, make it a little bit more like I didn't have everything planned out in the first place, which I didn't have it like planned out like this is what I'm going to do. But that's what I tried. And then I'm currently on page 68, but I mean, it's a mass market. It goes by pretty quickly. So doing pretty good. We got to the part where, like I said, the summary on the back says that like her diagnosis is death. And so she's diagnosed with like pancreatic cancer stage 3 or something. And now he's coming up to her like, hey, by the way, I'm a vampire. Let me fix you. And then I don't know what else is going to happen. So, so far, basically just what's on the back of the book.
If you were in that situation, if you were having like in the midst of a terminal illness and a vampire came up to you and was like, but I can make it all better, would you do it?
Well, okay, so at least in this book, like they've been friends since they were like 5 years old. Because he's a born vampire, so like I guess he does age or something. And he's sort of trying to explain to her what it means because she didn't believe him at first. And I don't know how much research was put into the actual cancer part of this, but they do explain, like the doctors and stuff, that it's like less than 3% of people live or something because of the fact that it was caught so late. It's stage 3, it's metastasized, it's all this kind of stuff. So it's almost like a guarantee of death. Or, hey, I'm a vampire and, this is like your best friend since you were 5 years old telling you this. So like, I don't know. Like, I have no idea what I would do, but that's the situation currently going down in this one.
I feel like even if I just had a mild cold, if someone was like, you could live forever and be beautiful, and I'd be like, okay, let's do it. Deal. What about you, Heather?
I would, because I think it'd just get like lonely eventually. unless you
That's
just end
true.
up turning your family. Like,
Right, you gotta turn everybody.
I'd miss people.
Yeah, that's like the one big downside. Anyway, how far did you get, Heather?
I am 40 pages in. And kind of like Chelsea, I just feel like right now it's a lot of like what's in the synopsis is happening. It's just like we have our pawn shop owner and she has the note stuck on her hand that says King City and she just can't get it off. And she's trying to figure out about this mysterious man that gave it to her. And then we have Diane and her son. And I'm just now getting back into her story a little bit, which is kind of going a little like it's kind of going, I guess, a different direction because like some of her coworkers were missing, but then like one of them comes back and he is like kind of talking to her, but then like she gets a phone call and it's from the same guy and he's like, I need you to tell them that I'm sick from work today. And she's like, wait, you're right here. Like, what? So that's gotten a little like, what's actually happening here? But yeah, I'm not really sure where this is going at all.
See, I don't remember any of that. Like, it's been so long since I've read it. I don't remember any of that. But Night Vale in general is sort of weird and twisty and like out there. So
yeah,
it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Oh, hey, Rye. Rye has joined us.
Hello.
Anybody in the comments have anything else to say about the books that they've read? Because I know we've done 2 reading sprints now. I mean, that's up to you guys. If anybody has any questions or anything about the actual like readathon stuff as well, we could do some of that.
I have a question about just
Allie's
Star
here
Trek
too. Hi, Allie.
Hi, Allie.
Yeah.
I have never seen any Star Trek. If I
Okay.
were to start with like the new generation, is that okay, or do I have to have seen the OG stuff?
So you're asking somebody who's never watched anything besides the original series. So
okay.
So, well, and that's not exactly true. I first got into Star Trek in 2009 when the alternate, like the J.J. Abrams movies came out, like the first J.J. Abrams movie. And it's based on the original series. So it has Kirk and Spock and all the characters that we have like in this readathon. But it's on an alternate timeline. So it's like a reboot, but also like they went to a different timeline.
Comic book rules.
Basically. And so I really enjoyed that one. I know some people that are like hardcore, they watched a lot of like the Star Trek TV show stuff. Some of them did not like it because it is a different vibe. It's more action-y than like the TV show. But because I liked that one so much, I then got into the original series from the 1960s. And I watched all of those. I watched them multiple times. I watched the movies that came with those ones. Star Trek 4 is the best one in my opinion because they like go back in time to the 1980s, and so it's they go to save the whales. Like it's just a fun time. But so that's what I got into that one, and I did try to watch some of the Next Generation. I think I only got to a few episodes at the very beginning, and those ones I felt like were trying to copy the original series a little bit too much in like the content of the episodes. And I've heard it gets much better, but I don't know what happened at that time where I just sort of didn't continue. I do this sometimes with series where like I start something and then I just don't continue until later and have to rewatch it and continue. But I know the Next Generation is one that a lot of people started with because I think that one came out, I could be wrong, 80s or 90s, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Where a lot of like our generation probably was born around then. Like I know I was born in 1990, and so that was just one of those things where it was like, oh, that was probably on TV around that time. Their parents were probably watching it, that kind of stuff. But and then there's so many more series. Like there's Enterprise and Deep Space Nine and Voyager, and then they have Discovery now and Picard, and they have like the animated series, but then they also have Lower Decks on Paramount Plus, which is also animated. So there's just like a ton of things.
Oh man, there's more than I thought there was.
Yeah, there's a lot. And I do want to watch them eventually. I just got to that point where like I know for a fact that I liked the original series. Like I like those characters a lot. And then I need to get into the Next Generation because like that's the next one. It's just the first couple episodes. Like I really want to say I only probably watched like 3 maybe. It just hadn't hit its stride yet, and something happened where I didn't continue yet. But I do want to eventually watch them.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people watch that one first, so like I don't think you would be like it would be a bad thing if that's what you wanted to do. You can probably start anywhere. I'll
probably have to see what's available too, like on what streaming service stuff is.
I know the original series and Enterprise, which is technically a prequel to the original series, but came out after like the Next Generation and stuff like that. Those are on Netflix.
Okay.
Paramount Plus, I think, has all of them. I don't know for sure, but they have all the new ones. So they have Picard, which is like a sequel to the Next Generation. They have the Lower Decks. They have Discovery. So they have all those ones.
Okay.
Because that's the Paramount Plus is the one that used to be CBS All Access, and they're the people that made those shows.
Right.
So those are only there, but I think the rest of them you can do. Oh, and here's the Book Recluse has some stuff on here. You can start with any series except Enterprise and Discovery. Yeah, first few episodes of the Next Generation are rough, but it grows. That's what I heard, and I don't know why I stopped, but I didn't give it enough time, and I knew I didn't give it enough time because I need to rewatch and then continue.
Heather, do you have any experience with the show at all?
No. I'm sure, like I remember it, like I've seen some of it, just like probably like my dad was watching it. I know my uncles watched probably all of them, but like I don't really fully remember, and it was when I was younger. Like I'm pretty close to Chelsea's age. I was born in '89, so you know, it was kind of a thing, but like I just never really watched it, and I haven't watched it now, and so I'm enjoying
the baby
like
of the group,
you know.
I was born in '93, so I don't remember any of my relatives watching it, but I feel like if you grew up in our like generation, you can't not have heard the name Spock. Like who Spock and Picard are and stuff. I think
we were more of a Star Wars. Like I feel like people were like kind of Star Trek or Star Wars, and we were more of a Star Wars family. Like I watched all the Star Wars movie all the time with my dad.
Yeah, see, I feel like that's a thing. There's a lot of like, which one are you? And like I like Star Wars, but I'm definitely Star Trek. But like my family, they don't like this kind of stuff, like sci-fi. Like I don't think any of them would ever watch this kind of stuff. So I was the one that had to find it when I was like 19 in college, and I was like, oh, there's a new Star Trek movie. For some reason, this looks good. Let's watch it. And then I was like obsessed. Like my username, not here on YouTube, but like on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, is Newly Vulcan, because I made that in 2009 after I had watched Star Trek and was like, yes, I'm going to do it. I can't do it with that hand. This hand. This one's just not working. But so I was like, yeah, Newly Vulcan. I actually have a license plate cover on my car that says, I find your driving highly illogical, which is a Spock saying. Like it's a Star Trek thing. My car cover, like the sunscreen, is the it's Star Trek. It has the entire crew of the Enterprise on it. My background on my computer is Star Trek. Yeah. So, but like none of my family ever was into that stuff. Endless TBR says my dad was a Star Wars person. I was born in the 90s, and so I have very little Trek knowledge. Yeah, I definitely think it is like one or the other if you got stuff from your parents.
I have to say that, like, regardless of your level of knowledge of Star Trek, the Choose Your Own Adventure Readathon is designed in the perfect way so that you can, like, enjoy it and get through it and, like, you know, not be lost, even if you have no knowledge. So you did a really good job, Chelsea.
Good. That's what I was hoping for, because I knew, like, I think this back when I first thought of this, and I made the Twitter account for the Choose Your Own Adventure Readathon back in April, and I literally had it as Star Trek Readathon because I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go with it yet. But I put like a little tweet out under my page and was just like, hey, do I know any people that are bookish and Star Trek? And I got no answers whatsoever at all. And I was like, okay, so I knew this wasn't going to be something that a lot of people already knew about. So I wanted to at least give enough that like if you really had no idea, you got a little bit of like knowledge of who people were or what the divisions did, or eventually like sort of what the aliens are, but I wanted to keep a lot of that for the actual like story of it as well. But enough that you could do it. And so I'm glad that it has come across in a way that it's not like you felt like you had to know things beforehand.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No, it's been really great. And like just going through the storyline and like being able to read about like each of the aliens or each of the divisions and just like get a little bit of an insight into each has been like you designed it very, very well.
Oh, good.
Right, yeah. Like before you make your choice, you're able to see like, is this something I actually want to do? Yeah.
Yep. Right, yeah. And I definitely wanted to put a hint of what the prompt was in the description. So I hope a lot of people like went through and like whatever you did decide to pick, once you got to the prompt, you're like, oh, that's what the prompt is, and it made sense. Like I tried to have a hint of something so that even though you don't actually know what the prompts are when you hit it, by the time you get to like, this is what your prompt is, it made sense. That's what I hoped for. We'll see.
Yeah. I could see that.
And then they said that Mom likes the Trouble with Tribbles episode. Yeah, Trouble with Tribbles, I think, is one of the funnier episodes, and it's just like really, really fun. And that's part of the reason I wanted to have Tribbles as one of the alien choices. And I mean, Tribbles are cute. I fully expect quite a few people to pick Tribbles as their aliens, because why not? They're adorable.
Don't mind me. I'm just Googling pictures of Tribbles. Oh, they are cute.
They're just like little fuzzy balls. Like that's literally all they are. Little fuzz balls. Love the license plate. It's so cool. Yeah, I actually thought that was a really cool license plate too. But yeah, I'm obsessed with Star Trek just a little bit. just a bit.
Just a little.
Just a tiny bit. Okay, and the descriptions really helped to pick what prompt. Good. That was what I was hoping for. The descriptions for the aliens aren't as much. Again, I tried to put something in there where you sort of know what the prompt might be, like you can semi-guess. But I wanted to have most of what the alien description was in the actual story. So once you finish your alien prompt, you then get like the rest of the story. And there are different endings depending on crew members that you took or how well your point system in the behind the scenes is. So there are like special endings, good endings, and bad endings. So once you finish your alien book, the readathon's not, I mean, the readathon for the reading part is over, but then you do actually have like the rest of your story. So that stuff, I tried to do my original take on the aliens, but I actually rewatched all the episodes that those aliens show up in and like jotted down notes. So the aliens should be pretty canon specific of like what they do, what they're able to do, how they act, that kind of stuff. But I didn't want to like just copy an episode and put it into the readathon. So the actual situation that they're in is what I wrote down. And this is the first time I'm ever writing anything. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, because I was a little worried about like, I didn't have enough time to like go in and do multiple drafts and all this kind of stuff of it. So.
No, you did great. It's been awesome.
Yay, good, no because, yeah. My headphone's falling out. Okay, so no other questions? If not, that's fine. I do think we're probably going to be ending it around here, just because I try to keep my live streams about an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most, just because my husband has the kid and all that kind of stuff, and it just makes it easier. He's a mama's boy, 100%. So like keeping him away from me is sometimes the hardest part of doing these things. But yeah, so I'm going to be finishing up my book this weekend, since this is my alien prompt. And I know a lot of other people are probably getting to the alien prompt or going to be finishing those up, which is amazing. Don't forget to fill out the Google form, which will also be linked again at the end of your adventure, in case you guys want to apply for the prize, or even if you just want to send it in because I want to see what you guys did. And then did you guys want to plug anything for yourself, your channel, or anything?
I just want to double check. We have until the 24th to do that, right?
To turn it in. Yeah. So, I mean,
okay.
technically the readathon goes through Sunday, but like, I'm not, do whatever you want to. Okay. As long as you turn it in on the 24th, at the end of the day, I'm in Arizona, which I think is like technically around Pacific time zone right now. So we're pretty late in the day.
It's the same as Pacific right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's where I'm at. So
yeah.
Oh, same.
There we go. Just turn that in. You have a couple extra days. So like Tuesday end of the day. We're good. I do have links for both Heather and Miro down in the description. But if you guys wanted to plug anything that you're currently doing or let them know a little bit more about you, that's up to you.
I don't really do bookish content, but if you like video games, I'm a Twitch streamer. So I do a lot of visual novels, which is essentially the same thing as books. So if you want reading in another format, you can find me over on Twitch, and then I upload old VODs to YouTube if you want to check them out, see what you're getting into, and Yeah,
I have both your Twitch and your YouTube down in the description. So
and thank you for having me, Chelsea. This was fun.
Of course. Good. I'm glad you were here because I know you definitely do more video game content.
Yep. Yeah, but I am an avid reader, so.
Yes.
Well, I also have a booktube channel and I have a bookstagram, which I know she said is down below, but just lots of different bookish stuff. I've been doing a lot of readathons this summer, and so I have some vlogs up for that, and I have a TBR game, and all the usual bookish stuff.
TBR game. I haven't gotten to go on your channel much yet. But TBR game. I love watching those.
I'm really excited to find out my ending, though. Like, I've been excited to get to all the prompts, and now I'm we're talking more about the endings, and I'm I'm so curious. So,
you picked your alien, right?
Yes, that's what I'm reading right now.
You know what you're getting into, yeah. I also know somebody asked this in the Discord, but I'll just say it here too. The link to the readathon will just stay up. So if you guys ever want to try this again, doing something or get a different ending, or if somebody for whatever reason is here watching and didn't get to do it this time but wants to do it later, I'm just gonna leave that stuff up.
Nice.
So if anybody ever wants to do that again, or whatever.
It definitely seems like something you could just do and get so many different prompts and avenues and
I think I mentioned once, just because of the fact that there's 7 of each thing, there's 343 different combinations that people could do, but then you can technically take more crew members depending on your earlier decisions. So if you there's more than that. I don't think you're ever going to want to you don't have to double up on the prompts that you've done before. So there's probably one person wouldn't have 343 different combinations. But in general, that's how much it was. And so I'm just you can do whatever you want. Okay. So I think we're going to be done there. Thank you guys for joining me. I had a lot of fun. This is my first time actually hosting it on my channel. I've only ever been where you guys were before. And so I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too.
Yeah, definitely.
And you guys in the comments.
Thank you, obviously.
Chelsea. Yeah, you're welcome. And I will see you guys next time.
Sounds good. Bye.